So can anybody give the quick recap of what we studied in the previous class?
Yeah, I'll try, ma'am.
Yes, please. Shakshi.
We studied the how we used to how teaching used to be in ancient times.
Hmm.
Then we studied about what were the subjects involved in teaching on the part of student, like observation, demonstration, practice, trial and error. On the part of teacher, correlation of the faults, giving positive suggestions. Then we learn about the ancient teaching and modern teaching differences. Then yoga and yogic practices, in which we have learned about the misconception about yoga, common misconception about yoga, and meaning and concept of yoga. Yeah, ma'am, that's it.
Okay, so for today we have to start from the classifications of yogic practices. There are six classifications of yogic practices. First one is asanas, second pranayamas, third bandhas and mudras, fourth kriyas, shat kriyas, fifth meditation, and sixth attitude training like yama and niyama. These are the six classifications. We will further study these in more detail. So first asanas are the meditative. First we see this. Asanas stabilize the mind and the body through static stretching. So static stretching means when we do an do an asana and we hold that posture. For example, we are doing bhujangasana, and when we are in the final position, when we hold it, then stretching takes place in that final position. So this is static stretching when you are not moving your body. And what happens when we are in the final position and we are stretching our body? What happens that it we our aim is to relax the body in the final position. So it stabilizes the mind and the body. Aim is to establish proper rhythm in the neuromuscular tonic impulses and improve the general muscle tone. So the aim of asanas is to establish a balance, a coordination between our nervous system and muscular system and our muscles, and improve general muscle tone. For example, when even if we are not doing anything physically or we are just sitting, even then our muscles are engaged in our muscles are always engaged when we need to maintain any posture, then it it needs our muscle engagement. So what asana does, it improves our general muscle tone, which makes our posture good. Physio Psychophysical nature. So asanas have psychophysical nature because these not only work on our physical body but also work on our mind. Performed effortlessly without jerks. So as we know that in Patanjali Yoga Sutra, it is told that asanas prayatna shathilabhyam. So prayatna shathilya, it means we reduce the effort. So what, how we do it? Performed effortlessly. Asanas are performed effortlessly without the effort. When we are in the final position, we just try to relax our body more and more. Performed effortlessly without jerks. Maintain for comfortable time. As long as you can hold it, hold the posture. Two principles of asana: stability and comfort. These are the two principles: stability and comfort. And uh, comfort doesn't mean that you have to become lazy once you are in the posture. It means that yes, there is effort, but there is a balance between effort and easiness. Now, these are the three types of asanas: meditative asanas, cultural asanas or promotional asanas, and third one is relaxative asanas. In meditative postures are the you will tell what do you understand from the name, these three names, meditative and promotional and relaxative asanas. What do you understand from these names? What, according to you, what are these?
Ma'am, meditative asanas may be like what we do while doing meditation. Like we are sitting, keeping our back and neck straight, hands on any mudra like Gyan mudra or Anjali mudra. And then next is promotional asana, means which we generally do for like flexibility, like for basically for good body tone, muscles,
Hmm.
flexibility, fragility. And next, relaxative asana, which we do after the session. Like if we have done like 1.5 hour of session, then we do these asanas like shavasana. Sometimes we do yoga nidra also. So these kind of thing comes in relaxative asanas, I guess.
Yes, very good, Shastriji. Meditative posture, these are sitting postures, and the principle, basic principle of meditative posture is you need to keep your head straight. And cultural and promotional asanas are like those which ease us in way physically. The state stretch performed in.
Ma'am, your voice is breaking.
Is it clear now?
Ma'am, speak for a while. We'll tell.
Okay. Cultural asanas, static stretching performed in sitting, lying, and standing position. So cultural asanas are those, these can be performed in sitting, standing, or lying position. Like all the asanas except meditation and relaxative asanas are cultural asanas. So these results in toning of muscles, flexibility of the spine, and stronger spinal muscles, stimulate proper working of vital organs in the thoracic and abdominal cavities, and these also stimulate murmur points in our body. So these are the very simple things
Marma
about
means,
asana.
ma'am.
Murmur means the points on our body. If these points are type of acupressure points, we may say, we can say.
Okay.
These points even can cause death if pressed, or if pressed in a wrong way. These can even cause death. Pranayamas, second is pranayamas. Three phases of pranayamas. First one is puraka, controlled inspiration. Second one is controlled retention, which is kumbhaka, holding of breath. And third, expiration, rechaka. These are three phases of pranayam. It is useful in higher practices like meditation and helps to gain control over the respiratory impulse, autonomic nervous system. So, uh, the practice of pranayama helps us to gain control over autonomic nervous system, which controls all the involuntary functions in our body, like beating of heart and breathing, digestion, relaxation. So all these are are the functions of autonomic nervous system. And sympathetic and parasympathetic are the parts of autonomic nervous system. Sympathetic involves all the fight and flight functions, and parasympathetic relaxation. It does relaxation. It is activated when we are relaxing. Holding of breath for a prolonged and comfortable period of time is essential. So, pranayama, while doing pranayama, holding of breath means kumbhaka is the main, is essential while doing pranayama. For a beginner, holding phase is completely avoided. Controlled inspiration and expiration with a time ratio of 1:2. So holding is essential, but if someone is a beginner, then holding phase can be avoided and they can just do inhalation and exhalation. And what is told that inspiration should be, if for example we are doing inspiration for 20 counts, then the count for expiration should be double of it, 40 counts. The expiratory phase is so called that the following inspiratory phase is not affected in its slow and controlled inspiration. So when we are expiring, we are exhaling in a controlled and our breath is slow and long, then inspiration will automatically follow it in that way. So try to control your expiration so that inspiration will be automatically good. Next are bandhas and mudras, locks and holds of the semi-voluntary and involuntary muscles. Bandhas and mudras are the energy locks in which we hold our those muscles which we like the muscles of our abdomen or pelvic region or throat. These muscles we hold in bandhas. They remove any blockages of vital organs, improve circulation, and also give emotional stability. They remove blockages of vital organs and improve circulation and emotional stability. And bandhas, what are bandhas? They bind and channelize a particular nervous activity in a particular direction. Like in the picture, as you can see that uh, it binds the energy. It channelizes the energy in, uh, for example, it if we are doing Jalandhar Bandha, then what does it do? That it binds our throat region and it channelizes the energy in another path. Sorry, I'm bad at explaining this thing. These are the mudras that are used in pranayamas. These are the mudras that are used in pranayama. So bandhas, when we do pranayam, for example, we are doing Surya Bhedi, and after 20 rounds of 20 breaths of Surya Bhedi, we apply the bandha, we apply Mool bandha. So when we apply it, we are doing mudra. While we are doing pranayama, we are doing mudra, and this is called bandh. Bandhas are the mudras that are used in pranayama. Some asanas are also called mudras. Kriyas, there are six Shat Kriyas: Dhoti, Basti, Neti, Tratak, Noli, and Kapalbhati. Reasons involved in cleansing are nasopharyngeal reason, the reason of our nasal and pharynx, orocranial, cranial reason, gastroesophageal reason, and anorectal. So these are the reasons, and Shat Kriyas help in cleansing of all these reasons. Intestinal, like Basti helps in cleansing, intestinal cleansing, and in the same way, Noli helps in Kapalbhati. These Shat Kriyas help in cleansing of different areas, different regions of a body. And modes of purification. What are modes of purification? Air, water, friction, and manipulating movements. They increase the range of adaptability of the tissue and raise the threshold of their reactivity. For example, when we do a Shat Kriya again and again, when we do Jal Neti for the first time, then what it is a little difficult for us, and little uncomfortable for us. But when we do it more and more, then our tissues starts to adapt, and threshold capacity of our tissues increases, which makes it easier later when we repeat it. Bring control over different reflexes and establish psychological balance. These are Shat Kriyas. Next is meditation. Occupies highest position in yogic practices. It is a great tranquilizer as it reduces the stress level in our body. So it is a great tranquilizer and develop internal awareness. It starts from the withdrawal of the senses from external objects to the complete oblivion of the external environment. It means that when we do meditation, we completely withdraw ourselves from our external environment, from distractions, from external stimuli, and we are just focused on within ourselves. Innumerable techniques of meditation are there. It is a process of absorption in which the individual tries to turn his attention to dwell upon a single object, sound, concept, or experience. Then, after meditation, next is attitude training practice. So, these are yamas and niyamas, technically called yamas and niyamas. Self imposed. So, these are the self imposed restrictions that one uh, these are the self-imposed restrictions to govern one's behavior to form a particular attitudinal pattern. So when we follow uh, any yama or niyama, then a particular attitudinal pattern is formed within us in our behavior, basis of all the yogic practices. So first, we these are the basics of all the practices that we have previously read. The nature of all the yogic practices is psychophysical. So all the yogic practices, whether it's asana, pranayam, mudra bandha, meditation, or uh, all these practices are psychophysical in nature. All yogic practices are complementary to each other. For example, why these are complementary? You cannot say that I will only do asana and I won't do pranayama. No, you have to do all these practices because these are complementary to each other. These bring similar effects using different channels. For example, asana bring uses physical body, and in meditation, our mental and emotional, uh, it uses our mental and emotional aspect, and asana uses physical aspect. This uses different channels, but they bring out the similar effects. These are the 6 classifications. If you have any problem in this, you can ask. Is this clear?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
This is our third chapter, meaning and scope of teaching methods. 6 factors in teaching learning process, very important. 6 factors. Teaching, First one is teaching. Remember the name of these six factors: teaching, learning, teacher, student fourth, fifth subject of activity, sixth environment. Scope of teaching, learning, method of teaching. In method of teaching, there are two categories given: instructional methods and practical skill method. Classroom methods: lecture method, recitation method, project method, laboratory method, dramatic method, group discussion method. And uh, two traditional teaching approaches are teacher centered and learner centered. There are seven basic methods of teaching. These are, remember the name of these: lecture method, response to instruction method, individualized instructional method, group discussion method, directed practice method, project method, demonstration method. We will see these in this chapter. And five factors influencing the method: content, previous background and experience of the student, teacher, facilities, and fifth is scientific principles. So let's see. Teaching is a part of educational process. Education is a process of Education is a process of growth, development, and adding something new to one's experience. So while teaching, when someone is learning, it means something new is added to one's experience. Two phases in educational process are there: teaching and learning. So this is important topic: factors involved in teaching. What are the factors involved in teaching? First factor is teaching, a process involving methods. So in teaching, there are different methods involved through which teacher teaches to the students. Consist of organization and conduct of learning experience. So, in the process of teaching, there is organization and there is proper planning and all of these things. Through this, the teacher conducts the learning, the teaching process, and give the learner learning experience. Second factor is learning. Learning is adjustment through actions. Learning is adjustment through actions. So when uh, actions, what type of actions are these? Are actions means that first, for example, if a student has something, students ask something, ask suggestions or something from the teacher, then teacher gives him the feedback, and then the learner self reflects on himself or herself. Then after that he adapts, and in this way, through different actions, the learner learns. So learning is a process of adjustment. Remember this word, adjustment, in learning. And then next is teacher. Directs the process. Teacher is the one who directs the process, and he's an educator who lays out all that is best in the situation. And teacher organizes and guides certain experiences of the individuals under his leadership. So teacher is leader. Teacher is the one who directs the learning process. This is all about teacher. After that, fourth one is student. Student is a person who is desirous of adjusting himself. If the student will not be desirable to learn anything, then the teacher won't be able to teach him anything. So it's uh, student is the main student plays the main role in the whole teaching learning process. Subject of activity. Subject of activity means all the content that is being taught. So For this is subject of activity, content of learning. Environment, next, sixth and last factor is environment, class or situation in which the whole process is conducted. Environment is the space, the classroom, and this is arranged by a teacher. Next is scope of teaching learning. The purpose of teaching is to induce change in the student. What is the purpose of teaching? To induce change in the student. No teaching without learning. If the learner is not learning anything, then it means there is no teaching. The outcome of teaching should be learning. Teaching is an art as well as science. Now, how teaching is an art and how is it science? It is science because we know that it is based on certain principles. For example, whatever we study, whatever we learn, it is based on certain principles. It is not like without any base. It is always logical. When if there is a subject, then it will be logical, systematic arrangement based on certain principles. So that's why it is a science. And how is it an art? It is an art because it cannot be reduced to a formula, even though it is based on certain principles, but still we cannot reduce it to reduce it to a certain, like this is the way, this is the only way you can teach. It's not like this. You can't reduce it to a certain formula. It always needs modification according to learner's need. That's why it is an art. It needs flexibility, flexible approach. That's why it is an art. Is this clear? Why is it an art as well as science? Then next is the whole educational process involving teaching learning centers around the most important factor, the student. So student is the most important factor. Methods of teaching. There are two categories of teaching. Instructional methods. Instructional methods are those which are used in theoretical subjects. And practical skill method. Practical skill methods are used in the field of yoga centers or gymnastics, etc. Now, next are classroom methods. These are the classroom methods that are given in the book. Lecture method. We will study the lecture method in detail because it's given in the 7 basic method of teaching. So we will study this method in detail. And recitation method, what is in recitation method? These recitation method is used in those subjects which require memorization. For example, if you're studying yoga sutra, if you have yoga sutra class, then what you do in that class, we use recitation method where teacher uh, tells you and then you repeat it. When teacher recites you and then you repeat it again and through and you learn. Next one is, so there is repetition in recitation method, and next is project method. Like it can be prepared, the project can be prepared individually or in collaboration. And laboratory method, we all used to do experiments in our science lab if you're a science student, or that was the laboratory method. And in dramatic method, like it involves role playing where teacher assigns role to students and then they they just play the role of a particular character and then they speak the dialogues. and storytelling and scripting performances, etc. All came in this dramatic method. Then group discussion method. We will also study this group discussion method later. So these are the classroom methods. Just remember the name of these methods. Two approaches, teacher-centered and student-centered. So what are teacher-centered and student-centered approaches? Tell me, anyone?
In teacher center, teacher teaches and student kept silent, student become passive. And in student center, where individual differences being addressed, student become like they analyze things, they critically see things and do experiments. Teacher help them there.
Right, right. So in ancient times, in the past, the main method was teacher-centered. But now, when we see they shift learner-centered.
No voice is breaking.
Just a second, give me a minute. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
But
Is
your
my
screen is not
screen?
visible to me.
Okay, okay. Screen visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We were here. Method of teaching must be compatible with the goals or outcomes expected. The teacher should know how a particular method he uses affects the student's learning ability. So, what the method teacher should use method according to what the goal of teaching is and what he wants from the teaching learning process. What are his goals and outcomes? And a good teacher should know that which method to use for which group of students and how that uh, affects their learning ability. 7 basic methods of teaching according to the book Teaching Method of Yogic Practices. First one is lecture method. Lecture method is the oldest method for formal teaching. Before starting it, tell me about lecture method. Anyone?
Yeah, ma'am, it is a big kind of teacher-centered method. So your teacher teaches and we listen only. We don't reciprocate.
Right. And it's a formal way of teaching, formal method. Like in the in and it's the oldest method of teaching that is used for a long time. Valuable in presenting new information and synthesizing information from a wide variety of sources. More useful with mature students. So there is a drawback also that it is useful for mature students, no doubt. But if the students are immature, then we can't apply this method effectively because the students who are immature, they have uh, they have less attention span and they may get distracted easily. So they can't. This method is not useful for them. This is teacher centered, as Sakshi ji told. A lecture can be stimulating and interesting and motivating to the students if the teacher prepares it properly. It depends on the teacher how he uses this method. It can be effective, it can be interesting and motivating for students. It all depends on teacher. And also, what can be the other drawbacks of lecture method? What do you think? Anybody?
That, ma'am, learner won't be able to understand things and maybe,
Hmm.
I don't know.
No, I think sometimes there can be miscommunications. Like whenever someone is giving a lecture, he or she is generalizing the topic, but some of the pupils might not understand or understand it in a different way. This can also happen. Basically, there is a lack of communication sometimes.
Right, Dipamji. And also, like it is teacher centered. So there is possible that students are not interested in listening to the teacher, or there is lack of participation in the students. They are not motivated enough to attend the lecture.
Yes, ma'am.
Due to more students, the active will be active and dull will be dull in this
True, true.
lecture center method.
Karthik ji. And next method is response to instruction method. Now tell me about response to instruction method, what you understand from this word, response to instruction. What according to you this method might include?
Maybe the way teacher said we do that, we do like that. kind of.
Yes, yes, right. So in response to instruction, whatever the teacher gives the instruction, students, learners respond to it in the same way. This is also formal approach, formal way of teaching. The teacher gives precise instruction, and those instruction can be before, before, after, or with a demonstration, and all students respond to the instruction in the same way. So it means that teacher can give instruction while he is demonstrating an asana, for example, while he is demonstrating any asana, or before or after, anytime he can give instructions. This emphasis is on the subject matter of activity that is introduced. The emphasis is not on the individuals who are learning, but the emphasis is on the subject matter in response to instruction methods. And the very little attention is paid to the individuals. The response to instruction is the best example of this can be the when there is yoga day, and on the yoga day, yoga teacher, there is a yoga teacher and who gives instruction to large number of yoga students. Then uh, in that case, there is little attention is given to the individuals. Then next method is individualized instruction method. So what was in the previous method, that less attention is paid to the individuals. Now in this method, although this is a group method, and individualized instruction method is also a group method, but in this method, individuals are given attention. Their individual differences are kept in mind, and like as you can see in the picture, this is although this is a group, but still individuals are, their differences are taken care of based on the principle that learning is highly individualized. Individualized instructional method is based on this principle, and for individual differences within the pattern of the group structure. Uh, is it clear? Response to instruction and individualized instruction method.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next is group discussion method. Group discussion method solves problem. It has both individual and group value. Just a minute, just give me a minute. Yes, so we were studying group discussion method. It solves problem. The main outcome, the main that we get, the main benefit is that it solves problem. For example, we have any topic, then we discuss it, and it results in problem solving. It has both individual and group value. How is it? How this method has both individual and group value? Because individually it has a student to grow, and also the whole group also grows, because an individual becomes tolerant to opinions of other participants in the group and improves himself, and overall the group also learns, grows. Effectiveness depends upon the teacher's ability to lead the discussion, and also if the students do not are not experienced in the group discussion, then it is the duty of the teacher to be the leader there and guide them and lead them. This is enough for today. Tomorrow we will finish this chapter. So today what we learned, today we studied these classification of yogic practices, asana, pranayam, bandha mudra, kriya, meditation, attitudinal practice training. And after this, in chapter number 3, we studied the meaning and scope of teaching methods, 6 factors that are involved in teaching, learning, teacher, student, subject of activity, environment, and scope of learning, teaching. We, we saw that teaching is art and as well as science, and student has the main role. And we categorized methods of teaching in instructional and practical skill methods. And we read the 6 classroom methods and 2 approaches, teacher centered and student centered. And next, the seven basic method of teaching, out of which we learned the lecture method, response to instruction method, individualized instruction method, and group discussion method. Rest we will do tomorrow. If you have any problem in today's class, you can ask.
No, ma'am.
Okay, then let's finish.
Ma'am, someone has raised hand.
Wait a minute.